Hello and welcome back. I am so excited about this next session. It's our AI sprint led by Keir Gravil from Frazer-Nash. And Frazer-Nash, of course, one of our gold sponsors of Maritime Innovation Week. I'm going to introduce Keir, and I'm sure Keir will tell us all about the sprint and the demo and everything else, and introduce everybody else. But Keir is a naval architect and commercial marine business manager at Frazer-Nash. He manages diverse maritime projects from defence to decarbonisation, while actively promoting diversity and mentoring young engineers. We heard from Keir in one of the sessions earlier today, so good to have Keir and the team from Frazer-Nash back. Can't wait. Let's get started. Over to you, Keir.
It's a pleasure to be here at Maritime Innovation Week 2023. Of course, I was there last year as well, and it's great that it's back on this year. So as Joe mentioned, my name is Keir Gravil. I'm indeed the Commercial Marine Business Manager at Frazer-Nash, and my background is I used to work at sea as an engineer, did my engineering cadetship, and then I did a degree in naval architecture. So I'm definitely interested in everything, all things maritime. And as one of the business managers in Frazer-Nash, I obviously help mentor some of our younger engineers within the company as well. So that is an introduction to me. But obviously, importantly, what you're here for today is to look at navigating skills, diversity, inclusion in an AI sprint. So that is what I've been tasked by Joe and Ian to do today. So without further ado, I'd like to proceed. But of course, one thing that is typical of IT is the fact that today the open AI servers are down. So my colleague Jeevan, who's been diligently running around behind the scenes, has been sorting that out. So we are good to go, just using a slightly different setup. But I will proceed. So what is this workshop about? Well, the workshop today is twofold. It's to give an introduction on what tools are out there at present for using AI systems and what those various AI systems are. For some sessions, what my plan was to generate our own prompts, although for this session today, just because of the fact that that could cause complications with the setup we've got, I've done the prompts already. But we're going to go through a few different topics as well to do with skills, diversity, inclusion within maritime. And then once we've been through those topics, at the end, there will be an opportunity for us all to enter text to create our own prompt to look at what the future of maritime might look like. And of course, in good Port of Tyne fashion, no workshop would be complete without a Mentimeter poll. So when we get to that, we'll be using Mentimeter. So make sure you've got access to a browser either on your phone or via your computer. When the time comes, I'll give you the link and the code and some instructions. But I'm going to proceed to go on to what we are going to do today and what this sprint is actually about. So first of all, what this workshop will do, especially if it was in a physical setting, we will be looking at using AI to generate a prompt, and then within groups we would generate our own prompts using AI and using what we've learned about some good prompts. I will go through that with you as well, this one. However, to avoid any complications, I have already gone through and made the topics for conversations using the AI prompts. Then we're going to go into discussing a few of the key topics revolving around diversity, inclusion and skills within the maritime community. And once we've got some of the outcomes from that, it will be over to you to using a GPT, a generative pre-trained transformer, to come up with look at the future of maritime, and hopefully that will work, and we'll come up with a good statement as to what AI thinks the future of maritime will look like. And at the end, there's a little bit of a bonus as well, which I'm not going to give away at the moment, but there is a light-hearted bonus at the end of the presentation to discuss as well. And of course, if you've got questions or comments, please put them in the chat. Please put them in the Unity the chat that you've got access to, and we'll get through to answering them. If at the end of the session we run out of time and I can't answer the questions, as I said in the previous one, I'm happy to make written answers to any questions that don't get answered today. So first of all, a little bit of an introduction as to what AI systems are available and what they are. Now, you might have heard about an abbreviation GPT, and what this stands for is generative pre-trained transformer. And what that essentially is a a very large database, a large language model that is used to train an AI algorithm and system to teach itself different ways of learning about how words interact with each other and how responses can be generated using huge, what we call large language models in this case. And there are billions upon billions of permutations that these language models use to actually create a network, usually using something like an artificial neural network, that then will be used to come up with outputs that we're probably familiar with and we will be familiar with by the end of this session as well. But there are many different types of AI systems. Now, the first few I've got here, the top one you've probably heard of, actually, ChatGPT, and you've probably used as well. This is really good for brainstorming, creating a lot of personalized content from all different areas of sort of research and innovation. You can put in whatever you want and it will come up with an answer. And it's not necessarily specialist into any one particular area, but is very much a general and a very, very advanced GPT chatbot. But there are others as well which have slightly different flavors and slightly different uses as well. So Copy AI is very similar in terms of its approach, except it's used for looking at short form content, things that you would use in social media posts, product descriptions, and it comes up with outputs that are much more suited to those applications. Another one is called Jasper, which is more for long form content. So it could be long blog posts and it has the kind of style of a blog post, and the outputs are more geared towards that, or articles, for example, or even landing pages on websites, for example. WordTune, slightly different in the way this works. WordTune uses your prompt that you create, and it rewrites that content in a different way, something that's more exciting or fresh, or if you want to change the tone slightly, or add some extra context, this is a really good way of doing this. It's actually not a bad way of actually writing speeches as well. So if you've got if you're the best man at wedding speech coming up and you need a wedding speech, then that's probably a good one to try and use if you want to make it a bit better. And Writer is another one that comes up with outputs that are based more on sort of company style guides. Now, the last two you've probably heard of as well, DALL-E and Midjourney. Now, these aren't text-based, but they're more visual-based. So they come up with images based on databases of other content. Now, obviously, you've probably heard that there's probably some slight controversy here, depending on the copyright of the source material they use, but they use a process that is known as stable diffusion to come up with images based on millions upon millions of reference sources that they have as well. So that's quite a whirlwind journey through some of the AI systems that are available at the moment, one of which, ChatGPT, we are going to be using later on today. But what I want to talk about next, excuse me a second, I'll just use the clicker, there we go, is what makes a good AI prompt. So we've all tried to use AI, I'm sure, a lot of us have probably played about with it, but there are 6 clear sort of areas that you can use as a framework to guide how you make it a good AI prompt. And this is obviously, it can be used in text-based applications such as ChatGPT, or even things such as Midjourney and the image-based ones as well. So the 6 are: be clear and specific, focus on goals, be action-orientated, provide context, be positive and respectful, and also use keywords to add to it. So I'll go through these in a slight bit of detail now. So being clear and specific, if you're broad in the questions or what you ask for, you will get a very broad statement. I'll come up with an example of that in the next slide. But generally, it helps to add a bit more text to your prompt and be a bit more specific so that the output you get is more of what you're looking for. Like I said, a vague input means you get an ambiguous output, something that is very general and maybe not useful to you. Focus on goals. Well, in this case, what do you want to understand? What do you want to do with the AI system that you're using? What do you want it to output? So your prompt should really align with your goals. If you want it to come up with a series of paragraphs, tell it to do that. If you want it to come up with bullet points or an action plan, or it can even write code for you if you want it as well, tell it that's what you want as an output at the beginning. Be action-oriented. That means that use imperatives. So instead of using it like you would a search engine, say, for example, tell it what to do. So tell me about diversity, give me a list of something, create this, explain this, use imperative language, and then it can actively do that for you rather than using it, say, searching on Google or something like that. They're not supposed to be used in the same way that you would a search engine, although people often do that. Provide context. Obviously, the more context you can provide, the better the output is going to be. So if you've got a complex question you want to ask, provide the reasons why you're asking it. Say, for example, you're asking about diversity because you want to achieve something or want to do something, or you've got a problem that you want solving. Let it know that that's what you're wanting it to do, and add that context. And also, if it's in a specific frame that you want to present that question, so diversity within maritime, obviously let it know that it's a maritime context that you want. Be positive and respectful as well. Obviously, when you're dealing with AI, it's also learning from you as well. So if you put inappropriate inputs in, you will likely get inappropriate input out. And if you're doing it for yourself, obviously you might not think that's a problem if you're just playing about with things. But if you're using it in front of an audience, for example, or you've done things before and it's come up with a prompt, that can get filtered through as well. So it's always good just to, just in case. And it's not because we think the robots are going to come over, take over and use this against you. It's just the fact that you want the outputs to be in the right spirit. And finally, use keywords. One of the things I generally do at the end of the statement is I will include a list of keywords. And it's actually what we're going to be doing later on as well. When you get the Mentimeter poll, we're going to be using a list of keywords to generate and output what AI think the future of maritime skills and diversity might look like as well. So here's an example of one I've done just before we go into some of the discussion about the differences about what makes a good AI prompt. Now at the top you can see I've got there, tell me about climate change. And obviously you put that into GPT and it will give you an output. As you can see there, the output there is quite general, gives you like what is the greenhouse effect, what is global warming, gives you a bit of an explanation about green weather, and that might be great if if you're just wanting to learn something general about what climate change is, but it's not necessarily useful. However, in the second prompt you can see on there where I've written, give me 5 key points to talk about that cover the potential effects of climate change, that prompt there, the output is a lot better, it's a lot more useful, and especially as I put in some keywords and context. So looking at the United Kingdom's maritime industry, looking at things such as sea level rise and its effect on people. It's not necessarily a perfect prompt, but you can see how writing it and being more accurate and using some of those key points I made earlier adds to the output and makes it a much better output. So here we've got looking at changing weather patterns, its effects on extreme weather and how that can affect maritime industry. The same with sea level rise and navigability of waters as well around the coast, and also things such as coastal flooding and vulnerable communities. Gives you a lot more to really talk about, a lot more useful there, and you can obviously go further with that as well. So broadly, that's what makes a good AI prompt. And hopefully what I've done is I've used what I've spoken about just now later on, so that the AI prompt that we will use with your keywords will give us a good output. But first, we're going to talk about some of the issue of future maritime skills. Now, initially, I was going to do a series of breakout rooms where we'd all go into breakout rooms, and there would be a leader of each breakout room to summarize what the discussion is about. I think given the numbers and also the way that the platform is running, what I'm going to do is go through them myself with you, and then at the end, once we've gone through the slides and I've discussed some of the various aspects of the future of maritime skills, then we will use that in the Mentimeter poll. So take note and look at some of the keywords that I'm talking about here. Now, what are the topics that I have asked AI to cover? So I actually wrote a prompt within a GPT, and it's given me 6 different topics to cover, 6 different things that we should probably look about to discuss about the skills and diversity within maritime. So that's looking at and ignore rooms. Initially there were going to be up to 10 rooms with different groups, but say we're not doing that here, so just ignore the room bit. The topics that it's come up with to talk about are inclusive work environments within maritime. Obviously, we've spoken about that a lot today with the amazing panelists that we've had earlier on in the day. The challenges and solution facing skills in maritime. Building inclusive skills and training needs. for all of us within the maritime industry, and especially for new people coming into it as well. Looking at the role that technology plays within improving diversity skills, the skill set within maritime, and also finally what the future looks like as well. So what I've done is I've asked AI to give me these lists, and then the next few pages of the presentation are some of the discussion points that the AI system has actually come up with, and hopefully you will agree with them. I think they are broadly correct, and obviously this will stimulate your thinking so that we can build a better picture later on together with the Mentimeter poll. I'm going to just click on. Oh, apologies, I've gone too far. There we go. So the first topic that AI wanted us to talk about was the inclusive work environments within maritime. So I asked AI, is that, well, what does this mean? Give me more details. And I added a bit more context as to what I wanted to look for. And I asked for the output in these 5 bullet points. I specifically said in no more than 5 bullet points, because one of the things with AI is if you don't put a limit on how much you want it to say, then it could go on forever, and well, not forever, but it will give a big text output. So here I wanted to be specific. I wanted 5 points, and it limited it there. So some of the things that we should be considering is looking at what are the benefits of having a diverse and inclusive workforce in the maritime sector. And I think we've discussed a lot of that in this session today. There's been a number of speakers that have given you a list of the benefits that we've seen within maritime. We've also had people today talking about how it can improve performance, how it can improve performance of your staff, it can improve and foster innovation, and then ultimately improve customer satisfaction as well. And it's important to retain and attract the talent from different backgrounds and perspectives, so that it accurately represents the society in which we're operating. It also, the AI wanted us to talk about some of the current challenges and barriers to achieving diversity and inclusion in the maritime sector. And one of the first panel session we had, some of the barriers were actively discussed there as well. So one of the things that the AI picked up is that that's also a topic that we should be discussing. And I think the fact that we've included that in the presentations and panel sessions today confirms that. The AI system also wanted us to look at things such as issues such as discrimination, harassment, bias, stereotypes, and lack of representation as well. That's one thing that it sees as a challenge, and also looking at how the industry can create a culture of respect, trust, and belonging for all employees as well. So I think when looking at the inclusive aspects, I think the points that the AI makers generally got it right. So hopefully, when we take that further, it will include that into the picture that it paints for the future. Now, the second point that AI wanted us to talk about was looking at some of the challenges and solutions of skills specifically. And what's important to realize here is that maritime, as we all know, is a rapidly changing space for new technologies as we meet the challenges of net zero. So the AI has picked up on that from the way the information that it's gathered and the way it has worked to look at leveraging things such as the latest technologies. It's obviously picked up on itself, AI, and data-driven solutions, and looking at data management and efficiency and innovation as well, as topics that we should be discussing within the maritime industry. I think, again, we have discussed a lot of that, and we probably will be discussing a lot more of that tomorrow in some of the sessions to do with AI and autonomous systems. I know my colleague Ben is going to be looking at trustworthy AI tomorrow as well in one of the panel sessions. The other topics that are picked up here are ensuring that workers are upskilled. That's something that a lot of companies, including Frazer-Nash, have been doing recently, and it's something that will have to continue to be done over the next few years and decades as we progress towards net zero and the different maritime future as well. And also looking at things such as skill shortages and also the learning and feedback, so that employees can also manage their own professional growth as well, to make sure that they're getting something and they're developing as well throughout their career. And also, one of the things we've discussed about yesterday as well is how we can learn from each other, and how different industries and also from within industry we can all learn together and collaborate to actually make to generate best practice across everywhere. So we can include things from areas such as aviation, finance, tech, and maybe law as well, and other industries for collaboration there. Now, the third topic, the third of the 5 topics that it came up with, was looking at building inclusive skills and training needs. So this is looking more at the how we can get people into the industry, which is, we're obviously facing a shortage of people in the future, and that's nothing new. We've known that for a while, but how can we engage more to get people in the system so that they can learn and they can develop and also want to stay within the maritime industry as well. And that means working with things with organisations such as legislators, education providers, government, and other industries as well, to make sure that those skills are accessible and inclusive for everybody as well, so that more people can join in the future, and it evolves to meet the demand of new technologies such as AI, for example. So I think in here, for the building inclusive skills and training needs, I think the AI prompt, the points that it's made, has been very good so far. It's the next to providing effective training development is something that we've spoken about today as well, and also looking at communication and collaboration as tools and methods for delivering that, as well as leadership, empathy, and cultural awareness as key areas there. The penultimate topic that it came up with was looking at the role that technology plays, and I guess this is something almost like technology is looking at itself. How can it what role can itself play in this case? So there's something slightly meta about this particular point, but obviously we've got aspects such as automation and workforce reskilling, and also how do you make sure that people don't think that they're being that their skills are being done away with, that they still remain important. Cybersecurity and data protection as well, some of the topics that will probably be discussed in more detail tomorrow, and also some of the environmental technologies that we've been discussing yesterday and some today as well, about changing fuel types and changing power requirements for ships and the maritime industry generally. Connectivity and communication, I think one thing we can all agree is that connectivity has been very useful in today, and has been over the past few years, especially since the coronavirus pandemic as well, and how that's going to be even more important. And finally, the AI has picked up on the need for regulatory and policy as well, that needs to be the governing framework that regulates the actual pace of technological advancement, to make sure that it's safe, and that also it manages the effects of any skills gaps and any future requirements as well. And the final topic that the AI came up with, the 5th one, which is elaborated slightly more on, there we go, excuse me, sorry, is what does the future look like? So it's the things it wants to ask us is what do we think we'll be doing differently in 10, 20, 30 years from now? Will technologies be more commonplace in the maritime industry, both at sea and ashore? What will they be? Will we still be trading goods in the same way? Will we still be consuming the same things? As well as looking at what the opportunities are for seafarers in the future. How might that change as well? And how will seafarers evolve, and what will their core skills be? Will we still be seeing seafarers that they're fixing machinery, or will they be more code-based, where you need people that can write script to fix a ship's propulsion problems, for example? And also it asked the questions like, do we think we're on the right course to meet these challenges? That's one of the key things that we should be talking about when considering the skills and the expertise to meet the challenges that we need. So in summary, those are the 5 topics that the AI system has come out with, and these are the slightly deeper dive that it's come up with in terms of the 5 bullet points for each. And I'm hoping that this has sort of stimulated some thoughts for you, and that it's given you a bit of inspiration for what is coming up, which is the Mentimeter poll. So if you give me a second, I will get the instructions up. There we go. Excuse me while the slides just update there. So what we're doing here is using a Menti poll. And originally, as I said, we would have been in breakout rooms, and each one of you would have come back, or each one of the spokespeople would have come back to me, and we'd have discussed what I've just been discussing a few minutes ago about those 5 points. However, what we're going to do now is log on to Mentimeter. So these are the instructions. So we're going to create a word cloud in Mentimeter, and that word cloud is going to be phrases and words that you have contributed based on the topics that you've been discussing today, and some of the issues and some of the topics that we discussed a few minutes ago in those 5 prompts the AI came up with. So log on to menti.com, and the code is just in front of you there. I will just make sure that that is indeed the correct code. It is 45934754. So if you go onto menti.com and log in, you will see a page. You'll be able to enter as many words as you want. I think there are 3 there, 3 boxes. But as soon as you click submit, it will just refresh and you can enter more. So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes. Enter as many words or phrases as you can. Once that's done, my colleague Jeevan, who is diligently sort of beavering away in the background, will use those, export them from Mentimeter and input them directly into a GPT, and we will see what the outcome is of that exercise. So I'm hoping that it goes well. So I can see you've got a few coming up there. We've got diverse, visionary, retraining, 5G, of course, yes. That's been an important topic for the Port of Tyne and BT recently as well. Room for improvement, exciting. I'll give you, we'll keep on going for a minute or so, so keep those coming in. And once we're ready, we'll have a slight pause whilst Jeevan does his magic in the background, and we'll move on to the next slide, which will be the outcome. We've got more coming in there, sustainability skills, neurodiversity as well. That's one thing that was mentioned earlier on. It's a topic that is a question. I remember that was a question that's asked that I promised a written answer for, so I will do that. Even more coming in there. Automated, of course, yes. Self-driven, upskilling. Where more? They keep on moving around in different places, so I might repeat myself slightly. Obviously, one of the big ones coming in there is skills. The bigger the word, the more people that have said that, so that's good. Let's keep it going for a few more seconds. Safe AI, of course, that's one big topic that was at the forum last week that was held at Bletchley Park, was the Safe AI. I think we'll probably be talking more about that tomorrow in BT Tower as well, so that's an exciting topic. Green jobs as well, important there, ChatGPT. Yeah, that's really good. We've got 56 responses. This is good. I'll count down from 10. So we'll go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let's stop there. So we've stopped there now. So if you'll just give me a second, I will prompt Jeevan to run the magic in the background. And he's going to go and get the GPT to spit out the output. So you'll see there the screen says the future of maritime skills and diversity according to AI, and in a few moments we'll have the output underneath that. So he's just running it now. So I'm hoping this goes well. I'm hoping it works. As I said, one of the things about IT is that you've always got to have a backup. So one of the things that's happened today is OpenAI, who run and manage some of the things such as ChatGPT you're familiar with, the servers have gone down. So we're using Google Bard for this today, because that was our backup, and it's still up and running. So give it a few more seconds whilst he's running it. Here we go. I think it's almost done. That text should appear. And then after this, I've got one more slide to show you, which is something slightly fun that I did before then, which is using a different type of AI to envisage the future, which is Mid-Journey, which has produced a few images of what the future might look like. But I don't want to spoil it just yet. I want to get the text up and running. So still waiting for it, which is very, very tense, of course. You can still see some of the word cloud up there with some of the many responses. We'll be recording that as well, so that so this will be saved for future use as well. If any of you at the event yesterday, we had the sticky notes on the board that we used, and this will also be used in the same way. So yeah. I'll just get an update, 1 second. Right. So one thing that's just happened at the moment, it can't access Mentimeter for some reason. So I'm gonna move on to the next one, and he's gonna run it. He's gonna fix it in the background afterwards. So give me just a second, and of course, things would definitely. Oh yeah, Mentimeter. It's actually a Mentimeter problem, not a
Hi,
not
hi
an A.
there. Hi, Keir. Yeah, there seems to be a Mentimeter problem. So we're getting access denied when we join, and that's a few of us. So I think it's at the Mentimeter end. If you want to just pick up with what we've got.
So unfortunately, it's not AI that's let us down. It's Mentimeter this time. But I will put the output in the chat later on once it's fixed. But for the final slide, what I will do, if we can put the presentation back up again. Oh, sorry, I've gone too far. This is according to Midjourney, the future of what a future mariner or a future engineer on a ship might look like. Now, at first, this might seem slightly, odd in terms of some of the technologies we're seeing there, but actually, I think it's come up with some good ideas. So, for example, you can see here that there's that the people represented here are probably more diverse than what we've discussed recently. We've got people from you've got both both men and women working in the industry here, from different diverse backgrounds as well. There's also, I know the second image there shows somebody with bionic arms, which might seem the realm of sci-fi, but I feel that's probably suggesting that in the future as well, people with disabilities might have more accessibility to work in the maritime industry and do jobs that might be they might not be able to do at the moment. So I think some of the images there are actually been pretty good. The quality of the imagery is actually certainly very good now with AI. And in this case, I think some of the themes that have been reflected in the discussions today have been brought through. And as I promised, as soon as we get that, as soon as we get the AI output, and I'm sorry we didn't get that this time, I will put it in the chat for you. But I'd like to thank you for your patience and for your participation in this as well. Hope it's been fun and enjoyable. And thank you very much to the Port of Tyne for hosting today's event as well.
Thank you, Keir. I mean, it was fascinating to see all the different AI tools involved and how using them differently can make so much of a difference. And just that Midjourney stuff with the images, I mean, it's incredible. I think, given what we were talking about as well yesterday, as well as today, we need to get on board with using AI and, of course, using it, responsibly and well, because businesses that are assisted by AI and integrating it to do things better and faster will get the benefits, and those that are resisting it, of course, will get left behind. And it's about using AI to help humans perform even better and to really expand that creativity. So very, very interesting. And I think what we'll do is outside of this week, we'll develop this further and actually run that workshop maybe as a Teams session, as a very specific, dedicated session. We'll invite people to come and attend that as a good hour, maybe one lunchtime on a Friday, and we can get experimental with AI together and learn together. So thank you. Then this is the thing with tech, isn't it? Tech is amazing, and if it weren't for the great tech, we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing today. But fortunately, we've been here today. We've had an amazing day with loads of fantastic content. Thank you so much to all our speakers and contributors who've given so much of their time, energy, knowledge, expertise, really, really generously and in a fantastically engaging way today. I've loved it. I've been making notes all day. I can't wait to get all the slide decks and watch a few things back on replay so I can dig into some of those themes a bit more. It's been a really, really fabulous day. Thank you. And I know that Raquel has been working hard in the background to do the graphic creation from today. And if you want to see what that looks like, I'll do a big reveal tomorrow morning. So I hope you come and join us for day 3. So you can join online again. We're talking all about 5G, digital, data. We've got 3-dimensional, all presenters are 3-dimensional, of course. We've got everybody here on stage and live tomorrow, and people in the room as well as all of you watching online. So thank you very much for being with us today, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thank you very much, and bye for now.